All right, happy Friday, everybody. It is the Canada Day long weekend, and as you can see, we have the truck that's getting rigged up. Before we go anywhere though, what we need to do is go through a couple of things. So right now, Lyndon is out camping already. It is Lyndon's birthday this weekend, and it is also Canada Day long weekend. So we are wearing our Canadian colors today, but there's a couple things we have to do first. We've got to load snacks and food in the pantry. We got to top up our front diff as it sprung a leak recently. Not a big one, but one that does require me to top it up before I can replace the seal. So what we're gonna do is go through a little bit with you guys what I do before I head out camping, and that way you guys kind of know how little work actually has to go into my setup personally to get me out on a long weekend. Technically, there is already food in there. There's already diff fluid in there. I could totally head out there and do it, but I really want to make sure that the length and the life of my vehicle lasts as long as it possibly can. So we're going a little bit further than normal, and we're also going to go through 2 or 3 pieces of gear that you should actually have as a consistent overlander or backcountry explorer in your vehicle at all times if you're going to be spending any considerable amount of time out west. So let's do it.
Hi, my name's Dave, and I've spent most of my life outdoors here in Canada's western frontier. I believe one thing to be true: outside is therapy. It's where we both reconnect and disconnect. I hope you'll come with me as we build, explore, and repeat.
Next up is we're going to top up our diff fluid. So here we're actually using Lucas. Front differentials for a Nissan Frontier take 75 weight 90. We are going fully synthetic. A small bottle about this size should be all you need. You might want to pick up 2 depending on what you have available for funds. This little bottle is $30. Just keep that in mind. You'll see we've already pulled the skid plate down. That's the engine skid plate, and that is our transmission skid plate there. So we've pulled the engine skid plate down to grab access to our differential, and as you can see, that is our plug for the differential. We've already pulled it already. You've got 2 plugs on a front differential. One is your fill, one is your drain. We're not draining the diff fluid out of here just yet. We're just topping it up, so we're not going to worry too much about that. I got my hair doing a whole bunch of weird stuff already. But just keep in mind that the plug for filling your diff is on the passenger side, and it's just below the axle housing where your diff comes out. And if you guys can see here, this is where our leak is coming from. right there. You would have seen that on the last episode, well, not last episode, a few episodes ago with Dragon's Den. So we're gonna top this guy up right now, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna fill it up until you have just a little bit dripping out of here, right? If you can stick your finger in there and you can feel your diff fluid, you're full. And I can't feel that, so I'm going to go ahead and add some now. And we're gonna just let that flow a little bit. We're gonna put that guy back in. So as you can see, I probably put a little too much in there and I let it drain on my tools. Don't do that. Now that that's topped up, put about a half a quart in there. So it was probably down by about half. Yeah, feels half-ish. So it's not a bad leak by any stretch, but it's a leak. And anytime we're going out on Crown land, we want to do our best to make sure that we are driving and using the tread lightly principles, which means we don't want to be dropping oils on the ground. All right, let's put the skid plate back up. What's going on there? All right, just a little bit of thread chasing, and we got those bolts back in, no problem. So just had to clean up the threads a little bit. Okay, so we've got the skid plate back up. We've got the kit loaded in the truck. And we've also got some dog food in there for Zeus. Last thing is we're gonna go through a couple pieces of kit that we should probably have in our truck at all times, especially if, like I said, you do this a lot. We'll go through those and then I think we'll be good to go. All right, guys, 3 pieces of kit that you probably don't carry in your adventure truck or your adventure vehicle that you should probably carry. As well as some sort of first aid kit. Now this can be as high as like a trauma level 3 kit, or at minimum, I would say like an Alberta number 2 kit. The legislation and branding of certain kits have changed now in Alberta specifically. They're now a standardized kit all the way through, so there's no longer the Alberta 1, 2, and 3. They're all, I think, CSA, basically. On top of a first aid kit, like a quality first aid kit, I'm also going to recommend that you pick up yourself a fire blanket. Now, fire blankets are extremely useful when it comes to emergency preparedness. You can use these in all sorts of ways. If somebody is doused in some sort of chemical or flammable substance and they do ignite, this is something that you're gonna wanna be able to grab right away and just wrap it around them and smother those flames. You can also smother a campfire with it, making sure to close off all the oxygen, basically. If at any point someone here does get hurt and you are forced to use one of these, just keep in mind you don't want to rub the skin of anybody that's suffered from a burn. You just want to cover them in this and then wrap them in it, covering their body entirely until help arrives. Make sure you do call 911 anytime you're dealing with a burn. Burns can be very, very serious, even if they don't look like it, because they are very prone to infection. So this is what's going to help put fires out and keep people wrapped up and clothed after. Next up is actually a spill kit. These spill kits are relatively expensive for what you get, but considering we just did fix a leak in our truck and we are going out into some public land, we want to make sure that we protect that land as much as possible. And a spill kit is something that you should probably have in your truck, just because of the amount of fluids that we use and where we go. If you do spring a leak or if something catastrophic happens on the trail where you punch a hole in your coolant or anything like that and it's spilling all over the ground, this is gonna let you contain and clean up that spill. It's pretty straightforward. I'll show you how it works. So it comes in a bag. This one is oil-based, so anything oil-based. And inside, you're gonna get a whole bunch of goodies. So you're gonna have an emergency spill kit list. You're gonna have hazard markers for the bags. You're gonna have some garbage bags and some zip ties. You're also going to have nitrile long sleeve gloves. So these are gloves that are gonna come all the way up here for your clean out. Then you're gonna have what we call socks. This allows you to basically find the spill and wrap it around like a donut and contain it in place. And this will absorb an absolute huge amount of stuff. And then inside, you're also gonna have what we call diapers, which are these white material looking like absorbent pads. Think of just basically an oil-based maxi pad that is extraordinarily absorbent. And you're gonna get basically 2 socks and a whole bunch of these absorbent towels. They all fit real nice inside the bag. It does take up a bit of space itself, so I wouldn't say this is something you have to carry with you all the time. But if you're going somewhere long distance over a long period of time, or somewhere where there's going to be lots of trail challenges, like a lot of down trees, fallen trees, especially in mud pits, like any of those times where you're coming down into a dirty mud pit and you don't know what's under there for structure, a lot of times what will happen is people will throw branches and trunks in there to try to get traction, and sometimes it'll be sitting at a perfect angle. So as you come down that slope, that tree trunk can go right through your radiator if you're not paying attention. So 1, always check your obstacles before going, and 2, always make sure that you're carrying enough gear that in an event of a catastrophic failure where your piston fluid is all over, you can actually take this, clean it up the best as you can, making sure that we take care of the places that we're enjoying and wheeling. Remember, we have an obligation as 4x4 enthusiasts to make sure that the spaces that we love to travel stay open and available. The best way to do that is to practice as best a due diligence as you possibly can. Okay, sorry, there's traffic going by. It's a busy long weekend here. People are gearing up for the long weekend. You guys have seen me talk about this before, but this is a go bag. Now, a go bag is really, really, really important. You should actually have it in any vehicle that you have, whether it's your adventure truck or your personal daily driver. Make sure there's one in there in the family vehicle, whether that's a van or car or truck, it doesn't matter. And inside, make sure there's enough provisions for about 48 hours worth of survival if you have to. In winter months, there's also a full set of snow pants and a full winter coat in here as well. But as of right now, I've just got some fire starters, emergency first aid kit, a carabiner on the outside. I do have some prepper stuff in here that I'm not going to go into. Emergency mask if you need to wear one. A survival kit. This is called a fish light. I have an affinity for this little thing. I invented this a couple years ago. It's a play on the fleshlight or the flashlight, but inside here it's a little flashlight that I converted into an emergency fishing rod. So inside here is a whole bunch of fishing tackle, some fishing line, and then I can use this to fish if I have to. Then I've got a bear banger as well in here with some extra flares. And then opening up the top part of the bag, inside here we've got an emergency shelter. We've got 2 cans of food. We have some weapons in case we need to defend ourselves. These are just some little throwing knives that I picked up that I thought would do really well for a spear tip. In the event I have to use them as a spear tip, I wouldn't use them as throwing knives, but I would convert them and use them as a spear tip if I had to do any sort of hunting or survival training. And then inside here is just a bag full of provisions. So there's some toiletries, another first aid kit, some food, some gel packets, some hand warmers, a spare set of socks, a can opener, and a knife in here as well. And then as I also have a random cheap multi-tool. So those are 3 pieces of kit that you probably don't have in your vehicle that I would recommend you have. Thankfully, I've never had to use any one of these things, with the exception of spill kits. I've had to use those a couple of times. Something to consider when you guys are setting up your truck, or even if you're just going out camping, or you want to find something to just leave in the camper that's going to help you. Those spill kits do really well. The fourth that I'm going to include in this thing is a shovel. Many of you already have a shovel, but at the very minimum, a tree or a garden spade. This is going to let you dig your cat holes when you have to use the bathroom out in the bush. This way we're not just squatting on the ground for someone's dog or someone else to step in. Remember, we're not the only ones that use this land, and there is a lot of indigenous people as well that use this public land as well and have been for thousands of years. And we'd want to just try to respect it as much as possible, not just because of that, but because it's also land that we want to use. And you can take it from me, from personal experience, I don't like when my dog rolls in human shit, and we just can just avoid that by digging a small hole. Okay guys, it is 2:30 in the afternoon. We've got about 2.5 hours of work to do here before we can go. We're gonna be waiting on Jason before we leave. So I'm gonna end the video here with you guys today. It's Canada Day long weekend. I hope you guys find some time to get out and do some exploring, or at the very least, you know, just spend some time outside with your loved ones and enjoy this beautiful weather. I will be out there with my dog, Jason, Lyndon, and some other friends. Hopefully we'll be doing some fishing. I plan on videoing that for you guys as well. And we'll have a few other videos coming from this weekend as well, because Lyndon's got a really cool Subaru that I think you guys might like. And it's his birthday. So we should probably also do a walk around on the Frontier, because there's a considerable amount of stuff that's changed on that one since. We've done the walk around on the camper itself, but we haven't really gone into nitty-gritty details on the Frontier. So that's gonna be the goal. Again, if you guys like this kind of stuff, I really do encourage you guys to hit that like and subscribe button. It's the best way to help small channels like us grow. You know, we're in it to win it. So if you guys like it, hit that like and subscribe button. Drop it down in the comments there if you guys think there's anything in your truck or in your kit that you would actually put in there that I didn't cover here. Things that maybe I didn't even think of. Let me know down in the comments below. And last but not least, guys, live free, be wild. We'll see you guys on the next one.